All right, we are live. G'day, guys. Welcome to Monday, the 15th of March edition of the Hoopball Fantasy Pre-Game Show. We've whacked this one together pretty quickly. We've got about 16 minutes until games tip off, so we'll jump.
Time.
Plenty of time. I haven't even set my lineups, but that's okay. So we'll jump straight in, and then we'll sort of let you guys know where you can follow us and where you can follow Hoopball and that sort of thing as we're working through the games. I've got Brent with me today, who's just wrapped up some meetings, so he's sort of just as rushed as me, I think. How are you, man?
Yep. Good, man. Work is done for the day, so I can focus on fun stuff like fantasy basketball, which has now somewhat become kind of a job too. So it's still fun, but it's a lot of work. So, if you appreciate all the work that guys like us are doing, just for fun, hit subscribe, make sure you like, hit the notification bell so you don't miss updates. Go to hoop-ball.com, subscribe, all that good stuff. But we better jump right in, huh, Adam?
Yeah. Let's. So we'll jump in. So the first game. Okay. So we've got Kings and Hornets opening up tonight. So I've made just a couple of quick notes on most of the games. I haven't got through all of them yet. For the Kings, for me, it's really just Tyrese Halliburton that I'm watching, just to see. They're ramping him up. He was better in the last game than he was in his first game. I still don't think he'll be back to sort of 30, 32, 34 minutes yet. It sort of seems like he's capped at about 25 at the moment. Maybe that goes up a bit tonight. Still clearly a must-roster guy.
For sure.
Even in those that amount of time. So he's the main sort of player I'm watching. It's actually interesting looking through tonight's games. There's actually a few teams that don't have many players out, so we're getting a good look at what their rosters look like at full strength. So anyone else for the Kings that you're watching tonight?
Yeah, Whiteside is the big injury for the Kings, so look for Rashawn Holmes to have another big game. Bagley has, been somewhat okay, I guess, recently. We'll see. I mean, what a disappointment he's been. But yeah, for me, it's all about De'Aaron Fox and Halliburton when it comes to the Kings and what they're going to do. I mean, Harrison Barnes is just a rock. Probably one of the most undervalued guys in fantasy and maybe in real basketball. It'd be nice to see him get traded to a contending team and get a chance to do that again. I mean, such an underrated piece of what the Warriors did back when they first, before they got Kevin Durant and became this juggernaut. I mean, Harrison Barnes was a huge part of that. So, a good night to have those Kings guys going. I'm sure they're going to have a good game against the Hornets.
Yeah. Look, I would think, and I think I read this morning, Barnes is still sort of being floated around in trade talks, especially being linked with the Celtics. So that's something to keep an eye on. It would. Look, there's been a lot of rumors, and I really hope that stuff actually happens this year, because so many seasons you get all these rumors and then nothing happens. It's just a big letdown. So. So for the for the Hornets, they're one of the teams that I mentioned who are basically at full strength now. Yeah. So this is what it is for the Hornets. PJ Washington has looked better after he sort of fell off a little bit. So I had a chance to pick him up and didn't. I should have. I can't remember who I picked up instead of him. But
do you not listen to me for my fantasy advice?
No, I do, but I think I picked up Robert Williams. So I'm not. I'm not completely.
I love both those guys. So
yeah. So it wasn't the end of the world, but look for
got both.
I could have got both probably. Yeah, in hindsight. So for them, we sort of know what we're going to get when they're at full strength. Malik Monk, I suppose, is someone we want to just see how he goes with all their guards back.
With Graham back,
and Graham uncharacteristically shot the ball really well in their last game. So
I wouldn't expect that again.
No, but I think there's a chance he does up his efficiency a little bit now that he's not sort of the the go-to guy
That's
or
a good
sort of
point.
1A, 1B. So he could be a little bit more selective with his shots, and his field goal percentage could actually come up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I worry
anyone
about
there?
Monk. Yeah, I worry about Monk though. He's a streak shooter anyway. He's one of those guys you just kind of ride him when he's hot. And now with Graham back, he's going to lose a lot of minutes. I think Monk is a guy who really needs a trade badly. And the Hornets are pretty active in a lot. They seem to be linked to a lot of these potential trade targets, like the Drummonds of the world, especially centers. So look for Monk to maybe move in one of those deals if they make that happen. And in that case, I think he could probably have some value, but maybe you could watch enough to see how he does tonight when they're at full strength. But I'd be ready to cut Monk for someone else if he gets only like 18 minutes again tonight.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've sort of said already that he's probably a cut or just at least a streaming option at the moment if you need points. But yeah, it's going to be tough for him there. So I'm just working through on my phone here. So Bucks and Wizards is the next one.
Yeah.
The Bucks, again, not really many injuries there for them.
Giannis, he's been on fire.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis will do his thing. There's not outside of the big three there. Holiday is ramping up quite well. He's looking a lot better than he did a week ago. So yeah, I mean, if you managed to buy low on him, you did a really good job because we know he's going to be a top 30 player easily. So look, I mean, Bobby Portis, I suppose, is someone that I'm just sort of. He's been pretty good this year, but you sort of always waiting for him to fall off and go back to old Bobby Portis, and that's sort of beginning to happen a bit. So keep an eye on his minutes and his production.
Can I ask you a Giannis trade question?
Yeah.
So who do you like? Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, Giannis, Draymond Green?
Look, I mean, if the free throws aren't an issue, Giannis.
You got to keep Giannis.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's been insane the last month or something. So I think if you take free throws out, I haven't looked and done the numbers, but if you take free throw percentage out, he's probably the number one player. He'd be close anyway.
Yeah, I got Giannis in it's like $150 buy-in league where I'm in second place, and I would never think of trading him, but then I got that offer of Hayward and Tatum for Giannis and Draymond, and I went, ooh, wait a minute, that's interesting. At least make me stop and think about it.
Yeah, I think it's worth considering, but I think Giannis is
he's just too much volume, man.
I think so. Yeah. So
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, so no one really that I'm watching there other than Portis. Anyone for you that you're going to keep an eye on tonight?
Yeah, not so much. Yeah, not really. I mean, both teams are pretty. We kind of know what you're going to get. You got Beal, Westbrook, and then I don't know whoever else is the third guy. It could be anybody. It's kind of a mess. So if you got Beal or Westbrook, you're going to run them out there. I always like to keep an eye on DiVincenzo. He's one of those guys who, for me, was never super high on him, but he has some of these games where you're like, wow, if he could just string that together and be consistent. I don't know with Holiday back, if that's going to happen, but he's a guy that I really like, and I think he's really grown on me, and I think he has a lot of fantasy potential. So I'll be keeping an eye on how he does with Holiday back. But yeah, otherwise, I've kind of cut loose Portis. I'm not, unless it's a deep league. In 12 teamers, I don't see how he has any value really right now with the way Giannis is playing. And it's nice to see Brook Lopez has kind of turned it on a little bit lately, getting a little more threes and blocks. So people who have Lopez should be, at least a little relieved and be okay.
Yeah. Look, Lopez isn't a guy that I've got anywhere, but he has looked a bit better. So, and then look, jumping over to the Wizards, as you said, it's Beal and it's Westbrook. Hachimura is coming off probably the best game of his life in the last game, and everyone was sort of getting amped about him and saying, we need to pick him up. I wasn't one of those. See how he goes tonight. Beal is playing tonight, so I'm not sure if Bertans is in or out. I don't know if we have.
No, I don't see any injuries. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
No injuries
he
for Washington, so Bertans should be in unless it's like a coach's decision or something.
graded to. Oh, yep. There we go. Yeah, active. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
they're basically they're full strength as well, pretty
Yep.
much. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
really
see how.
just he's just not an exciting fantasy guy for me. Like he doesn't do a whole lot other than score really and get, 6 rebounds,
Yeah.
So that doesn't really get my fantasy juices flowing.
No, no. He's more of a points league guy. I think if you're in a points league,
Yeah.
then that volume is worthwhile. So next up is Spurs and Pistons. So this is actually an interesting game.
Yeah.
For who? So who have you got? Have you on your little watch list there?
Well, so DeRozan's out. Aldridge out. So with DeRozan out, that's when Trey Lyles usually steps up. A lot of people think of like LaMarcus Aldridge being out and Lyles is a guy. That's not the case. Lyles is filled in for DeRozan a lot. So look for Lyles as maybe like a sleeper streamer guy tonight. I love Pirtle. I think Pirtle is going to be huge the rest of the way. Just a really good fantasy center. Multiple blocks, double-digit potential rebounds, high field goal percentage. Love Pirtle. A guy that I guess I'm kind of keeping an eye on is Keldon Johnson. This guy who's like, I've seen him get 3 first-round picks in dynasty leagues for him, and then he'll just kind of do nothing. So he's a guy I'm kind of curious where he's going to be. I know he's young, so he's going to have his ups and downs, but I'm curious, is he going to be a fantasy superstar like some people think, or is he just going to be just a serviceable fantasy player? So he's really interesting to watch. DeJounte Murray, he's going to be awesome. And then Derek White, he's back. He looks good. I'm psyched. I got him in a couple big leagues and that I was sitting on him in. And he looks like he's going to be good. Blocks and steals that he brings from the guard position. So get Derek White in your lineups.
Yeah, look, my list is pretty much the same as yours there. White is a guy that I've got in multiple teams, and I held him. It was tough, but I held him. And so I'm hoping that he can continue what he did in the last game. So, yeah, and then, look, I just had Rudy Gay as well. And, I mean, I guess in line with Trey Lyles there, it's typically one of those two guys that will step up and have a good game. And then the other guy for me is Drew Eubanks, who's been interesting. And I think whenever he's on the court, he plays well. So I have him in my NFBKC league where you basically have a roster of players and that's it for the year.
Yep,
you can't hit waivers. So I actually picked up Eubanks.
I'm in third.
Oh, I'm not in third. So I've got Eubanks in that league, so I've actually got him active this week, and just to see, because I've got a lot of my other players there. I've got Durant, Yusuf Nurkic, Christian Wood. So so it's been rough. So for the Spurs, they're the guys. For the Pistons, I've got DeLon Wright. I mean, he's gonna. It looks like his minutes are back to where they need to be, almost by necessity, because they don't have a few other players. Dennis Smith is out. So another player that I've got in multiple leagues and happy to see him back. And then the other guy is Isaiah Stewart, who has looked pretty good. He's only getting 20 minutes, but he's doing enough in 20 minutes to be sort of on the fringe of 12-team leagues. And I think, I don't know, it's hard to see them actually sort of just handing him the keys and taking Plumlee out completely, because they need Plumlee on the floor. So it's going to be a slow transition. I think it's not going to be where they just go, okay, we're starting Stewart and Plumlee's playing 15 minutes. So it's if you do add him or you stream him in, don't expect him to come out and sort of set the world on fire, but he's just someone to watch to see if he can continue going the way he's going.
There's a bunch of centers right now, it seems like, that are kind of in that category, that Stewart, like that Moses Brown on Oklahoma City, and Patton on Houston, guys that are getting close to double-doubles with multiple blocks, which are great. There's a bunch of those guys who are pretty iffy. Like, are they going to get the minutes when the guy comes back from injury? Are they still going to be good? But if you need a center, Stewart is probably going to be more consistent than those other guys, because we see how many minutes he's going to get with a healthy Plumlee. With those other guys, there's a lot of question marks about when guys come back. Are they going to get the minutes? So if you're looking for a consistent center where you know you're going to kind of get, I think Stewart is a decent guy to look at.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no. So that's that game. So fourth game of the night is another interesting one, which we probably wouldn't have said at the beginning of the year. Knicks and Nets. I don't think we would have. Yeah. Well, I don't think anyone expected the Knicks to be where they are in the standings, and the Nets. We know that they're without Durant for a little while yet. Blake Griffin is not playing either. So I mean, they've still been winning. They're still a really good team.
Oh yeah, I mean they still have Harden and Kyrie. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's not like they're under strength and they're not going to play well. So, but for the Knicks, let me click over to my list for the Knicks. So Alec Burks is an interesting one. He sort of started the year really well. He got injured. I held him where he got injured, and that layoff lingered for a little longer than I had hoped. And when he came back, he just wasn't great. And he hasn't been great since. But the last two games, I think he's looked a bit better with Elfrid Payton out.
Yeah, and now Quickly and Peyton and Rose might all be out.
Yeah,
tonight. So would be a huge streamer if they all sit.
Yeah. I picked him up in one league just to stream him in last night. Nerlens Noel is another one. He hasn't been dropped or anything like that, and I wouldn't be dropping him. But I don't know. He's been a little underwhelming, I think, the last one or two games. And I know in the last game, he sort of split minutes with Taj Gibson, which was interesting. We know what Tibbs thinks of Taj Gibson. So, I mean, common sense would tell you that was just a one-off or a matchup thing, or he was going with a hot hand. But I don't know. It's something just to monitor.
Noel hasn't been super impressive.
No.
And it's hard when you see guys like Moses Brown and Isaiah Stewart and those guys consistently getting 8 and 8 with 2 blocks. And then, you see what he's doing, you start to wonder. I would hang on to him if he was on one of my teams. I'd still hang on to him to see what goes on with Robinson. But as soon as Robinson's back, see ya.
Yeah. Look, unless you're really just hanging on to him for those blocks and steals. But as you mentioned, there are sort of a fair few other guys just floating around on waiver wires now who can give you what he can give you. So, yeah, he's a tricky one. And for the Nets, we've seen where their value is at the moment. They've had this same sort of roster for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's just Nick Claxton for me. He's the only one I'm monitoring in terms of his production and his minutes and where he plays out, because we all really like him as fantasy fantasy people, and we're sort of pleading for him to be handed the starting reins there, but I don't think it's going to happen.
It's with Jordan there and now Blake coming in. People ask me who's Blake going to affect. My first answer was Claxton. It's going to hurt Claxton the most because they're going to play Jeff Green because of his shooting. They're going to, they're going to play Harden, Kyrie, so they're going to play DeAndre Jordan. Who's Blake's going to take time away from? And it's guys like Claxton, unfortunately. I think he's probably a year away. I mean, he's worth, I think, having on your team if you have an open spot, just because the potential is crazy. But don't be surprised if it doesn't work out this season. But definitely in dynasty leagues and going forward, he's going to be a fantasy stud, dude.
Yeah, no, he looks really good when he's on the floor. It's just really hard to see that path for minutes. Unless they get to a position later in the season where DeAndre gets a niggle but he just doesn't get injured either, DeAndre Jordan, really. I'm not sure. I can't think of any long-term injuries that he's had ever.
And maybe an ankle or something once in a while.
Yeah, something like that.
Nothing.
No. So it doesn't look sort of super promising, but let's just wait and see.
Do you agree with me that Blake is probably going to affect Claxton's minutes the most of anybody?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I don't think we need to talk about Blake here, and we're not sort of telling people to go and add Blake Griffin. He's there's nothing to see there.
I mean, I think he'll be fantasy relevant, but more of like Draymond Green, like a low end Draymond Green type of numbers.
Yeah, look, I think it will depend a little bit on his role and where. If he comes off the bench and he plays sort of a point forward sort of role, you've got visitors there. If he plays a point forward sort of role, then his assist numbers could be interesting. If they're running him or like sort of letting him run the second unit. Although his minutes won't be at 30, they'll be sort of low 20s, that low to mid 20s.
Yeah.
Just those assist numbers could be interesting if you need out of position assists.
Hey, while we jump to the next game, let me hit a couple viewer questions really quick.
Oh yeah, I haven't even looked over there.
Rocket Silas era, Oladipo, rest of season for me. I would drop Aldridge if it's between those three, I guess. Between D'Lo, Aldridge, and John Hunter, I'd drop Aldridge.
There we go. I can bring him up.
Okay, cool. I'd probably drop Aldridge out of those three, I guess, if you had to drop someone.
Yeah, look, I think so. I mean, you could make a case for all of them, but they have announced that Cam Reddish is going to be out for 6 weeks, I think, with his Achilles thing. So Hunter will be back. Look, I would say these guys will all be back at a similar time. Probably looking at 2 weeks ish. I just think Aldridge is sort of the one there that probably
he wasn't that impressive before he got hurt.
No,
and if he's going to end up on a competitive team, he's going to be around other scorers, which is his main thing you have him for is scoring. Really, at this point, you get more blocks from Moses Brown right now. So, I think LMA.
Let's go to this one. What's this? I'm just reading them before I put them up.
Another flat. Yeah.
Okay, so 4 weeks left in the regular season. Last place. Should I accept Jared Allen, Fox for KD and Turner? Seeing a lot of KD trade questions at the moment.
Looks like he might be out at least another 3 weeks.
Yeah, look, normally you would say no to that just because Durant's upside is so high.
But if you're last,
if you're last, then
just be prepared for the other guys in your league to hate you if you're trading KD to the first place team or one of the top teams. They might get a little upset.
Yeah, but no, look, I think
I mean, Fox has been really good. Allen's been really good. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it though. Like, I mean, is KD going to help you more? But they're probably going to rough a bunch.
Yeah, look, I
stuck on it.
Yeah, I think. I mean, on the surface, it's probably a no. Like, you wouldn't do that trade if all things were even. Yeah. But because you just need production, it's probably worthwhile considering. But it will be interesting to see what the league thinks of that trade.
Smart offer by the guy who offered that. If he's up in the top of the standings, that's a good.
Yeah.
Offer.
So we'll jump to the next game, but just before we do so, I think it's probably Dan in the chat there that's watching us. And we have, I have noticed the numbers going up. So if you are jumping in, just hit the thumbs up down the bottom there and subscribe to our channel. This is where we try to do these shows sort of every day. It doesn't always work out just because of people have jobs and schedules and conflicts. But we do try to get them out sort of each day. And then we did our first roundtable show, which was good. That was a week and a half ago now or something. So fun. We'll probably aim to do one of those again in the next week or two, I would say, if we can get enough of us together at the same time.
Yeah, he said the guy who offered that trade is outside the top 8 too. So
okay.
Yeah.
Look,
look, you could shake it up and take it. It's not that bad. I mean, you're getting productive players. So if you want to, I get it. I've been in last. I'm in last, and I accepted it. I traded Draymond and somebody for Brooke Lopez and something else, and just to mix it up because I was at the end, and it was a decent offer. So
and I think if the other guy is outside the top 8, it probably helps your cause, because if you were trading this to the guy that's first, and he was then getting KD, we're going to say, well, he's first, he might fall to second or third, but come the playoffs, he's going to kill it. So that helps. So the next game there is Clippers and Mavericks. Clippers were pretty bad yesterday. I think that's an understatement. So
they just need to
I would
Warriors every week, and then the early
yeah
game.
yeah. Well, I would look for them to bounce back tonight.
Yeah.
I think they've actually lost 4 of their last 5. So yeah, I mean it's not panic stations or anything like that, but yeah, it's not looking great either. So for the Clippers, it's just Reggie Jackson for me, really, with Patrick Beverley still out. He's sort of soaking up those point guard minutes there, and probably
Ibaka's a game time decision too.
Yeah. So if Ibaka's out, then Zubac sort of becomes a must roster player, really. I mean, they're not. I don't think they're going to play him 32 minutes or anything like that, but they'll go small and they'll play Morris a little bit at center and that sort of thing. But Zubac will be getting a little bit more run. Anyone else there for the Clippers?
Not really. There's not that. I mean, they're not that exciting, no. Honestly. No. I hate to say that trade backfired on them, but they've lost so many pieces getting George and Kawhi there to not get to the championship, let alone be able to win one, is a huge mistake. So
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Come playoff time, I mean, they have a strong roster. We'll see what happens, but they need a point guard bad, and hope maybe they'll be active at the trade deadline. I don't know, but Pat Beverley and Reggie Jackson are not going to get it done from the point.
No, and I mean Beverley's injured all the time anyway. Jackson. I mean, we know he's not a championship caliber player.
Yeah,
yeah. Look, just anyone with some head smart
would be a great fit there.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's lots of players, but so for the Mavericks, for me, there a couple of guys. Maxi Kleber has been playing really good minutes. I think the production hasn't been awesome, but he seems to have that power forward spot locked down. Playing Porzingis at center, so he's probably. I mean, he should probably be added. I would think in at least 14-team leagues and even possibly 12-team leagues.
His fantasy potential is so nice with the threes and the board and the blocks. Yeah,
really nice game. So and then Josh Richardson, who's looked better on the season. He hasn't been very good. But the last couple of games, he's looked better. So
maybe sell high.
Sell high if you've picked him up, or just stream him in and see if he can keep it going. Because we know what he can do. I mean, we know he can be a top 80 player quite comfortably if those defensive numbers can come back. So anyone else there for the Mavericks for you?
No, we can move on. I'm good.
Okay, good. So Pacers and Nuggets. This is another pretty interesting game, actually. For the Pacers, we had Karis LeVert come back in the last game, which was great. Whether you're a Pacers fan or a LeVert fan, it's just good to see him on the floor.
LeVert fan.
And
I had stashed in that NCS league where you can't make moves.
Yep.
I'm so excited. I got him and Derek White back.
Oh, nice.
And they called up Kevin Porter Jr., who I had stashed too.
Oh, okay. Oh, a nice week for you then.
Yeah.
And look, LeVert looked really good. I mean, you could tell he was a little bit winded at times. Just sitting on the bench, you could see him sort of sucking in the big ones.
Someone dropped him. My brother's in a 14-team league. Someone dropped him 2 days before they activated him. And I'm like, get him. Go grab him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I managed to pick him up about a week.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, really good that he's back. It looks like he'll be ramped up fairly quickly. I mean, he played 27 minutes maybe in the opener.
Yeah.
So within a week, you would think he'll be back up to 30, 32, 33 minutes.
Does he hurt McConnell the most?
Potentially, he's the other guy I had on my list. I'm not dropping him anywhere yet. He wasn't good. He wasn't good in the last game.
I think LeVert hurts him quite a bit.
Yeah, but I do think he's done enough to earn his minutes this season. So I think while he's not going to be playing 30, 32 minutes, he should still be around the mid-20s, I think.
Yeah, and he doesn't need a lot of time. He's like the guard version of like Robert Williams or somebody.
Yeah.
He can steals and those assists in that
Yeah.
time.
And that's all you want him for. If you've picked him up off the waivers, which you probably did because it's unlikely he was drafted, you didn't pick him up for points or threes. It's more for efficiency because he doesn't shoot many shots. So he'll normally shoot fairly well from the field and assists and steals. And if he can get you 7 assists and 2 steals in 22 minutes, then you're happy. So, so don't go dropping him. And then for the Nuggets, I've got clicking over. I know I've got Michael Porter Jr. So the Nuggets are pretty much back again to full strength now. They've got JaMychal Green back. They've got Millsap back. Yep. I think Monty Morris might still be out, but I haven't sort of seen
he's
any
out.
of the reports.
Gary
he's
Harris,
out, okay.
Yeah, Harris.
Yeah, well, Gary Harris is always out. So, I think it what I'm watching is what Michael Porter Jr. What his role looks like now. That they're all back, and he started in the last game with Millsap coming off the bench, but then Millsap moved into the starting lineup and they shifted.
I worry about Porter Jr., but what was he like top 25 before the whole thing happened, or there's something crazy? I think he can do that. The problem is the Nuggets are just really deep, so it's going to be here and there. And Barton's been playing really well lately.
Yeah.
So, but the Porter's too good for them to keep him off the floor. So I think as long as he's being smart and not pissing the coaches off, he's going to get the minutes and the production's going to be there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I think I was listening to a podcast. He's been a top 40 or 50 player the last 2 weeks. So look, I mean, it makes sense that they need to keep running him out, and I hope they do, because he's a fantastic scoring option for them. Jamal Murray, as we know, he's very hot and cold at the moment, so they need someone else scoring. And then you touched on him there. Will Barton is the other guy that I had. I streamed him in a couple of leagues, and I'm still streaming him.
Yeah, I love Will the Thrill. I've had him in a dynasty league for a couple of years now, and he's so good. If he could just stay healthy and get the minutes, he's easy. He was like a top 30 guy one time, like a couple of years ago, like not that long ago. He's got the fantasy game. It's just the same problem before. The Nuggets are so deep. But he's been looking good. If he's finally got whatever it is back, because he's been dealing with some injuries the last year or so, you'll probably be streaming him for a while, especially with Morris out. He's going to get a lot more time.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I remember he almost won me a league a few years ago when he sort of came out of nowhere and he was awesome. Amazing. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So there's a couple more questions, but we'll just quickly flick through this second to last game. The Grizzlies and the Suns. Yeah. Grizzlies lost to the Thunder's G League team yesterday. So, look, really for them, the only guy, I mean, Brandon Clark, we get questions about him all the time. I don't think I'll ever drop Brandon Clark, but that's just me.
I cut him a while ago and haven't looked back. So.
Yeah, look, I think I wouldn't blame people if they do cut him, but I'm not the person to ask about him just because I hold him out of principle. But
I know he got hyped up a lot. But like I said, I think I might have him somewhere, but I'm pretty sure I cut him in a couple leagues and I haven't even thought of him.
Yeah. So for me, it's really Melton. He's the only guy I'm watching. Justice Winslow is out tonight. He's being sort of managed. So Kyle Anderson and Melton. Let's see if Melton can play over 20 minutes. That would be amazing.
I worry about Melton because Tyus Jones, he's just getting killed by these other guys. And Melton's fantasy game is awesome. Love it. But he's too inconsistent for me. I never grab him anywhere. I always see him get hyped up. I know a lot of the hoop ball guys really love him. And I just can't have a guy that may not get 20 minutes a night and just put it and waste a roster spot on that. There's more guys who are getting time, but look, he's worth a flyer if you want because the potential's there. but he's going to need an injury or something to get those minutes. I don't really see why they're just all of a sudden going to just give him more minutes. That
No, look, I think we're hoping that happens, but until it does happen, it seems doubtful. Look, I've picked him up in a few leagues and held on to him. I'm just looking at the rankings here now. So he's the last month he's only playing 19 minutes a game, but he is the 75th ranked player. So
yeah, I mean,
yeah, like
more
he's
time.
more,
But
yeah,
no, I mean, obviously, anyone who's in the top 100 you want to have on your team.
yeah,
But I don't know. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it is. It's frustrating to have him because you tend to look at his minutes more than his production sometimes, and you go, "Oh man, 18 minutes," and I can't have a guy who's playing 18 minutes. So, so for the Suns, I don't think I had really anyone that I was watching on the Suns. We sort of know again what they are. They don't have a lot of injuries at the moment.
DeAndre sucks. Yeah.
yeah. Anyone there that any sort of flyers or waiver wire guys that you're watching on the Suns?
Nah, I mean, no. Just watch the evolution of McCall Bridges and how awesome he's becoming, and you never know if it's going to be who's going to pop in. If it's going to be Kamitsky or Saric or Cam Johnson or Crowder, you never know who's going to be that other guy. It's really all about Paul, Booker, Bridges, and Ayton when it comes to the Suns, and then it's just I don't even think any of those guys are even worth wasting time on.
No,
and sorry to anyone who drafted Ayton though. It's just sorry.
Yeah. It's been I didn't draft him, so I don't have that problem. Look, let's bring up just a couple of questions quickly. We'll fire through them before we jump onto the Warriors game.
Don't ask me about a Warrior.
So Jordan Poole,
teamer.
Well, you're the guy to answer this one. Jordan Poole, what are your thoughts on him?
Look, he looks great. There's talk that he's going to be like one of their closing guys. They needed offense. I've been begging for them to bring up Jeremy Lin, but they brought up Nico Mannion. They brought Poole in. They're playing them a lot. Michael Mulder lost his spot. Toscano Anderson's lost his spot. Damian Lee's lost minutes because Poole's looked really good. He had a clutch shot last night. But he's not going to give you a ton of other stats. He's really more of like a Malik Monk type of player. But the minutes should be there for him. 14 team leagues and higher, I think he's definitely worth rostering. And then in a 12-teamer, it'd be just kind of dependent what you need or if you have a spot. But I think the minutes will be there. And I think as long as he's hot, he's going to be someone we're talking about.
Yeah, and look, I think from what I've seen, I haven't watched as much as you, obviously, but it looks like he can handle the ball a little bit as well. So they might use him as opposed to like Brad Wanamaker in certain situations.
Too.
Yeah, so that's just something to. It's not a strength, I wouldn't say, of his game yet, but it does give them another option there with the second unit. And I just pulled up his ranking. So he's the 45th ranked player in the last 2 weeks. So
he's on fire.
Yeah, you sort of have to.
8 points. He's shooting some crazy percentage from three. He's just on fire right now. It's going to even out, but you're right. I think if he's getting those backup point guard minutes as well as closing games, he's looking at 25 to 30 minutes a night.
Yep, absolutely. So this question here, Porzingis, Jarrett Allen, rest of season, who plays more games? Well, it's probably Jarrett Allen, isn't it? I think.
Sure.
I don't know. Dallas might have a couple of makeup games. I know they had that little period there where they missed a couple, I think. But I still think Allen probably plays more.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they won't rest him. I don't see why they would rest Jarrett Allen or manage him or anything like that.
I got him in an NFC league too when they made. Are you ever in a league where like everything just goes right? Because I've been plenty where everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
But it's rare when you have that one where just like every trade or every injury or whatever you call up just goes in your favor. And I completely just jinx myself, and my entire team's going to get in a plane crash tomorrow probably because I said that. But
Yep.
Jared Allen's been one of those guys. Like he comes over,
Yeah.
like, oh, now he's behind Drummond, and then oh no, they're going to sit Drummond until they
Yeah.
trade him.
And now Love, I
And Love
mean,
couldn't last 2 minutes.
yeah, I think I'm a bit concerned about Love. I that could be it for him, I think, this
I did
season,
have
maybe.
where I had been sitting on him, and I'm like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing well, and I'm getting Love back. And then I read
Yeah.
wait, he's hurt again.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't sound good.
But as far as
Okay.
season, yeah, I would take. I mean, Porzingis is amazing, but if you're looking for consistency, it'd be Allen.
Yeah. Yeah, I would take Porzingis on a per game basis. Like I think he'll be better per game, but if you look at totals come the end of the season, I think Allen probably comes out just ahead.
Yeah.
So this one, Isaiah Roby. So he's a guy I wrote about him in an article that I did, and just talking about his rest of season outlook, especially if Horford is traded.
Yeah.
So whether I'm still as high on him with Moses, well, Moses Brown is someone that I've been talking about for a few weeks as well, actually. Yeah, look, probably hasn't changed my thoughts too much on Roby because I think they can play them together. I think.
They have. Yeah.
So it's not like Brown is taking Roby's minutes if he's playing center. I think
all his minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, it doesn't really change my outlook. I mean, neither of them are guys that you have to roster at the moment. We sort of want to wait if you want to get ahead of the curve a little bit. If Horford is traded, haven't heard too much about him being traded though.
Yeah, me either.
So
in a dynasty league, that's pretty deep one. It's like it's 20 teams, and I picked up Brown.
Yeah.
But I worry because isn't Baisley, when he comes back, that's going to hurt both their minutes a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Roby's been more consistent than Brown, so I still feel kind of the same about Roby as I did before, even with Brown.
Yeah. No, it hasn't changed my opinion too much. This one here, Levert or Kemba this season.
Levert.
Hot
take. I'd say Levert over Kemba. But
I don't know. I guess that's a tricky one. Like Levert's probably not going to be as good for your percentages. So if that's a concern, then you probably go with Kemba. But Levert can do more. He'll generally sort of fill the stat sheet, whereas Kemba is more likely to just get points, threes, and some assists. And Kemba, I mean, we know he's not playing back-to-backs. We haven't heard that Levert isn't. And given Levert's injury, it wasn't a sport-related injury. So it wasn't a knee, it wasn't a shoulder, that sort of thing. So as long as his conditioning is there and he's fully healed, then he should be good to go. So I think he probably plays most of the games.
Yeah, and I don't know that he hurts your shooting percentages that much compared to Kemba, honestly.
Yeah, free throws maybe a little bit, but yeah, look, I mean Kemba's been better, but he hasn't been great this year.
I mean, now you have to choose between those two guys. I mean, grab a third guy.
Yeah, well, that's right. You should have someone worse than them.
Kemba or something. But
so this one, I mean, it's sort of a pretty general question.
Just curse God for hurting all your guys.
Yeah.
AD or guys like that. So
yeah, look, it's not. I don't know. I mean, if you're still in the playoff race, I guess you could look to trade a couple of the injured guys away, and you're not going to get value for money, but you might get some production. And depends when your playoffs start. I mean, we're going to touch on AD now, and I mean, we might as well jump into the Lakers game.
Sure.
So while we're talking about this, so AD, I think they've said this morning he's going to be out at least another 2 to 3 weeks. Am I right there?
Wait, someone's asking if selling AD for Wood would be reasonable. Yes, I would trade AD for Christian Wood right now.
Yeah, I would do that. Yep.
Someone will give you Wood for AD. Take it.
Yeah.
I would trade AD for KD at this point, probably.
Yeah.
AD's
Yeah.
injury is a lot worse.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so look, so with Anthony Davis, so it's 2 to 3 weeks, is that right? I know they announced some stuff this morning. It happened while I was asleep,
So
so
what I read was they said he'll be reevaluated another 2 weeks. They're expecting him to be out 3 weeks, but a lot of people expect him to be out even longer, and that the Lakers are
yeah.
willing to let their playoff spot ranking drop a little bit just to make sure he's healthy, because they know no matter where they're seated, if they have a
Oh
healthy
yeah,
and LeBron, they're gonna go right back to the championship. So I got, as an AD owner in a couple of big leagues for me, I'm really, really nervous and not really happy about this because I can't cut him. I I don't think I can get anyone in one of those leagues to give me Christian Wood for him. So I'm just sort of like in that fantasy limbo that we all dread, of
yeah,
just having your best guy get hurt and you can't do anything about it, and you just have to take it.
yeah, yeah. And look, we touched on this. I think it was before the All-Star break. Alan Strokey had Jovan Buha on the pre-game show. Another reason to subscribe to the channel. And he touched on AD's injury. This was early on, and he was already projecting that it was going to be a long-term thing, and that although he had some sort of reevaluation dates, he wouldn't be surprised if it pushed into the months.
Well, I think what's really scaring the Lakers is they saw what happened to KD with a very
Yeah,
similar thing. This calf injury,
yeah, yeah,
that all, as soon as he goes out and plays, he tears his Achilles, and they would much rather sit on AD until till the championship game of the playoffs, or even not even play him again this year to avoid an Achilles tear
yeah,
with him. And they saw it happen to another superstar,
yeah,
and it would be devastating for like a guy like AD. I think,
yeah,
to what happened to like Cousins, with an
yeah,
injury like that. So that's why I'm really nervous about it. As an AD owner, I understand what the Lakers are doing, and they're smart to do it. There's nothing I can do. It's driving me
no,
crazy.
yeah, no. So, uh, and I mean, look, touching on the Lakers tonight, I guess for players that you're watching, I mean, Kuzma needs to be rostered. I've seen him dropped in a few leagues. I don't know why,
Yeah,
because he just, I mean, we know he's not going to give you much defense. It's points and rebounds and threes, but that's
yeah.
plenty. Like
Some
that's
blocks. I mean, he can get a
yeah,
block here and there too.
yeah. Look, he'll chip in. I mean, just from being on the court, you're
Double
going to
double.
fall into a block. But yeah, so he needs to be rostered. Not really anyone else there. Jared Dudley's out. That's breaking news.
Gasol out. Yeah, another reason to
All
have.
out. And look,
Harold is just kind of is what he is. Like,
yeah,
I'm really high on him, but now I'm just sort of like, whatever. I mean, even with all these injuries, he's not really getting more minutes or more production.
no. He's one of those guys. I think we saw, and we've seen it for the last few years. In 24, 26 minutes, he's awesome. But
Yeah.
once he gets beyond that, his production drops down fairly quickly. Like, so he must just have that threshold because he's so energetic and so full on when he's on the floor.
Yeah, and he just doesn't do enough, but he doesn't block enough shots.
Yeah.
To make him interesting, which is tough.
Yeah. And so for the Warriors,
LeBron's a game time decision too. Although I'd expect LeBron is a game time decision. But
he always is, isn't he?
Yeah, ankle injury.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I think he's kind of always been questionable, like the whole season they've been listing him like that. But I would assume he'll play. Kuzma's a game time decision too with a heel injury.
Okay.
I don't know. As a Warrior fan, I mean, wouldn't be the worst if LeBron decided to sit this one out. But I also like watching really good basketball, so I'd love to see LeBron play against Steph Curry too. So I hope he plays for that reason, but we also need some wins. So yeah.
So for the Warriors, anyone, I mean, we've touched on Jordan Poole already.
I think Poole's the big one. Wiseman is looking good. Draymond's been playing great. Steph Curry is, awesome. Top 5, great. I mean, Oubre and Wiggins, we know what they are. They're not. So yeah, I think Poole's really the only kind of guy you maybe want to keep an eye on. Nico Mannion's starting to get some more minutes too, which is interesting. I don't know that he'll at fantasy relevance though. I think Poole is the guy who
Yeah.
of the unknown guys is someone to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and I think you said there Wiseman as well. So
Yep.
he's still more of a stash. He's not a guy that you need to be rostering, but he played 23, 24 minutes yesterday, and Kevon Looney played 10.
Yeah, but
So
he's only going to get better. You can see it. He scores so easily. Like
yeah,
after like 3 minutes, he has 10 points and 5 rebounds. You're like, holy cow! I mean, he's just so much bigger and quicker than all the other big guys out there. He's gonna. It'll be a fun matchup with him and like Harrell or
yeah.
him and Kuzma. But this is a rare opportunity for the Warriors to be bigger than another team. Actually,
Yeah, yeah.
kind of
And
fun.
I think with Wiseman, I mean, I don't get to watch a lot of college basketball. I mean, not that he played a lot of college basketball, but
Yeah,
so I hadn't seen a lot of Wiseman coming into the season. And the thing that surprises me watching him is just how big he is. Like
yeah,
he's not his height specifically. I mean, there's other guys around him who are the same height. Just his presence on the court, it reminds me a little bit of Joel Embiid. Like he's just a big presence, active,
yeah.
agile, able to sort of cover a few different positions.
Really,
He just,
really long arms.
yeah, yeah,
Just and I think that's what he's learning is how to move his feet because up
yeah,
until now he's always just been able to be so big that he can reach but now he needs to learn how to adjust and move his feet. And you could see it happening game to game. And Draymond, coaching him during the game and getting him going. And that's why I just think he's going to be even better. And Draymond and Curry, they all say this guy's going to be a superstar one day. And you're not going to go on the record saying that and put that kind of pressure on a kid that you really don't believe that's going to happen.
yeah. So before we wrap it up, so we're going to go an hour. There you go. I wanted to keep it quick, and we didn't keep it quick. So a couple of questions. Who's a drop here? Nance, Noel, Pirtle, Miles Bridges. It's Miles Bridges for me, I think. We've got, well, that's probably Dan, but let's put it up. CJ McCollum is not on the injury report tomorrow.
Whoa.
So that's interesting. Okay, so it looks like McCollum is back.
Fun train is coming.
Yeah. So yeah, Gary Trent. Yeah, he trends down in a hurry now. I think McCollum. I mean, they're going to be cautious with him because of his injury and what it was. So yeah, I wouldn't expect to see McCollum back up to 30 minutes or anything like that. But yeah, straight away he's going to be
back to where he was before because he was like a first round.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Yeah, I have my doubts that he does, but he's still going to be. I mean, he's a sort of a seasonal top 40 guy. You know exactly what he's going to get. We did that one. Oh, yep, that's how. Okay, let's do this one, and then we'll jump out. How will Durant's return affect Harden? Still a top 5 with Durant in the team.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, at least top 8.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Harden, his scoring has regressed, which we knew would happen coming to Brooklyn. But his assists have gone up. I think he's leading the league in assists. That's not really going to change with Durant on the floor. Maybe it comes down 1, but he's still going to be double-digit assists most nights.
Yep.
And I mean, he's just going to fall into 20 points. I mean, he just
a lot more minutes too. Like he's going to play like almost the whole game, where Durant, probably won't. So you have a lot of time on the floor where he's the main option.
Yeah. So look, maybe he takes a small hit, but it's not enough, I don't think, to sort of change your opinion on where he is in the sort of in the whole scheme of things. He's still going to be sort of as you said, a top 8 floor. But more like top 6, top 5.
I mean, the Nets have 3 guys who are potentially first round players on their team. Like, wow, crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
One of those guys. So
yeah,
that's. I mean, it's gonna be fun to watch. I just as a basketball fan, just seeing that,
yeah.
like a NBA 2K team that I built.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, that's just what teams are doing now. They're building championships, or they're trying to build championships. So
Yeah,
who can blame the?
completely tanking. Yeah, it's
Yeah, one or the other. Yeah. So that'll probably do it for today. So as we said, I'll get this off so you can see our Twitter things there. So you can follow me at AdamKing91 or Brent at Brent Middleman. At Hoopball Fantasy is where we tweet out all of our shows and all of our blurbs and player news, that sort of thing. And then give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That would be really appreciated. Yeah, look, that'll probably do. I have to get ready for work now. I guess you're finished work and I'm heading off to work.
Yep.
Anything else you want to touch on before we jump out?
No, just come find us in the Discord. Go to hoop-ball.com, become a premium member. You can join us on the Discord and ask us questions all day long if you want. We're there to answer them. I'm constantly on my phone checking, answering questions when I can. So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss anything, because we're trying to put these up regularly, but we don't have a consistent schedule yet. So if you hit the bell, though, you'll never miss one.
That's right. Yep.
Warriors.
Yep. I'll go. I don't have a team, so I'll say go Brandon Clark. All right. So we might have a show up tomorrow. We'll tweet that out. We'll hit the bell. You'll know if one's coming. And otherwise, yeah, good luck tonight with tonight's games.
Thanks, Adam.
We'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.